Working for you. A weekly talk radio program which highlights developments of national interest and the activities of your St. Kitts Nevis government. Join host Lesroy Williams as he presents news, views, reports, and interviews about everything regarding the activities of the Team Unity government and the building of our communities and the development of St. Kitts Nevis. Tune in and call in to interact with your government and share your views regarding the upward forward development of your community and our beautiful Twin Island Federation. Working for You is weekly, every Wednesday live from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, Win FM, and Sugar City FM with rebroadcast on participating stations. Working for You.
A pleasant afternoon to all of you who have tuned in today to Working for You. I am Lesroy Williams. We thank you very much for joining us for today's program, which will be a rather interesting program. Today we are going to be talking about World Post Day. But emanating from World Post Day, we are going to get into a discussion about our General Post Office and the services that it offers. And the question, of course, that we ask today is how relevant is the post office in this digital age? And there's an old Chinese adage that says that times change and those who change with it survive. And I think that this applies to the post office. I have with me 3 members on my panel thus far, and I am going to be joined as well a little bit later by the Postmaster General, Mr. Dario Gill. But I have with me the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Posts and Urban Development, Ms. Sharon Rattan. Welcome to this program.
Thank you so much.
I have with me the Deputy Postmaster General of the St. Kitts and Nevis Postal Services, Mr. Darian Vera. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everybody.
And I have here with me the Acting Supervisor of EMS Parcel Post and GPO PAC, Angela Samuel Leibert.
Good afternoon.
A warm welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Now, over the years, the Universal Postal Union and World Post Day have adopted the theme innovation, integration, and inclusion. And that is what we will be talking about today as it relates to the post office and the services that it offers. World Post Day is celebrated each year on the 9th of October, which is the anniversary of the establishment of the Universal Postal Union in 1874 in the Swiss capital Bern. It was declared World Post Day by the Universal Postal Union Congress held in Tokyo, Japan in 1969. Since then, countries around the world participate annually in the celebrations. The posts in many countries use the event to introduce or promote new postal products and services. In 2015, countries all over the world committed themselves to working together towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, of course, that were set by United Nations. And the target year is 2030, which aim to end extreme poverty and hunger, fight inequality and injustice, and take action to reverse climate change. To name just some of these 17 agreed new goals. playing its part in this global effort, the post today has a more relevant role than ever by providing infrastructure for development. A more relevant role than ever. Now let me start with the relevance. That's my first question. Is the post relevant today in this digital age? The post, yes.
Yes, of course it is, Les Roy. It is, I must first say, it is here to stay. I am aware that persons feel that, oh, we have so many ways of communicating: WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, emails, YouTube, and we have to stay so long to get a letter from one place to the next.
Yes.
That may be so. However, the post offices are here to stay. As you said in the beginning, that we have to, something, I'm just summarizing your adage, your Chinese adage, that we need to change with the times. And there is a vast potential, expands opportunities for the post to change with time. I would premise.
So we will look at some of these changes on this program.
Yes. but
And
I want
of
to-
course some of the innovative ways.
Yes, but I want to put out there that the first thing that we use every day, it may not be letters and stamps. For some professions, it may be. For example, in the legal profession, they use many stamps, financial areas. However, every day we have to use an address, and we take that for granted very often. An address gives you a legal status, it's a legal reason. A legal status, your physical location.
A physical
of where you
address.
are, physical address also. But we don't recognize in all of these, in the way we conduct businesses and all of this, the distribution, import, export, using the GPS. I was watching this Netflix program, about the CIA and FBI, and almost 50 times in one episode they say, give me an address. And they did that to use the GPS to give the exact location of where they could find the criminals or the persons that they were pursuing.
Yes, and now you have, of course, you speak about the physical address, but we are in a digital age, and now they speak about the IP
The
address.
address. And they were able to locate that too. They needed all of that information. So an address, whether it's physical, electronic, they are all very important to conducting business on a daily basis. And for the teachers, of course, we have to teach our children to write an address properly.
Yes. But of course, with the advancement in ICTs, information communication technologies, one of the things that they would have done is they have caused a revolution in terms of creating a world where there are no borders. And of course, because of that, people can communicate much faster. People can send an email, and instantly, I can send an email right now from here, and somebody somewhere over in Timbuktu or down in Brisbane in Australia gets it right away. If I had to send a message through the ordinary snail mail, which it is now called, seems like you disagree with me, but we'll talk about that. It's now called the snail mail. It would not take seconds. It will probably take 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Maybe I can send it by courier, which we will talk about. But still, even by courier, it would not take seconds, because you have to use the traditional aircraft, and then you have to use vehicles to get it to its physical address and all of that sort of a thing. But with the email, the person gets it almost instantly. And because of that, post offices are experiencing some challenges. People are not using the traditional mailbox like they used to. They're talking about the email box. And so, because of that, that is why I spoke about the relevance of the post office. Because it simply means if people are doing less business with the post office in terms of using the traditional way of what used to be sending mail and so on, then the post office, of course, is losing money. And you have to find ways in which the post office can make money
Very true.
and contribute towards the economic landscape of the country. So I
Can
want
ask
to
you
hear.
stick a pin
Sure.
there, because whereas that may be so, I think we also take for granted the amount of business that is conducted at the post office, social security. All of these, they need to use a registered mail. Even though they can send you an email, they have to use a registered mail channel to make sure businesses need to do that, to make sure that communication, that type of communication is used so that they can reach people. And that there is a lot of that. Right, Mr. Deputy Postmaster
Yes.
General, would you like to expand on that?
And I would like to add,
Yes.
even though we have realized the domestic mail have decreased over the years, we have seen a spike in our e-commerce service,
Okay.
right? People are ordering more online, right?
Yes.
So we have now our GPO pack that you mentioned earlier, that we saw it a few years ago, that we need to increase our service. So we incorporated, along with the passport section, we had the GPO pack. The GPO pack is for persons, for example, who may need a physical address in the US to ship something out of the US but need it here in St. Kitts. Because not all companies, even though all companies open their business globally, some of them only focus on larger countries. So sometimes you might need an address in a larger country or more developed country like the US. So we have the GPO pack. Our agent is located in Miami. So customers come in, they sign up, and know they are now free
Yes.
to shop online and send the boxes freely to our agent, who will, how must I put it? If you want to even consolidate, you can consolidate. So if you have one piece of item, you don't have to send that. You can consolidate maybe a phone, a pair of glasses, and then we send them down to our post office here in St. Kitts.
When did you start that service? How long did it take you to get into that market? Because I mean, being online has not something that just cropped up overnight. So I suppose now the post office recognizes that it has to be relevant, because it was flirting with irrelevancy
Yes.
and insolvency, and so therefore we have a lot of other services, courier services in the private sector, of course, you know, that have been doing business much longer. For example, you have even Amazon now. A lot of people are really shopping Amazon.
Yes.
For example, to be honest with you, I have never thought of going to the post office to shop for anything. I go to Amazon and I go and get my stuff from KDP and so on.
Yes.
And now you're talking about FedEx, and you're talking about the United Parcel Post, which is UPS, and you're talking about DHL out of Germany and so on. So the post office, as you say, even though it is trying to be innovative, it is faced with a lot of competition from all these other. How do you stay in business?
Well, we are aware that the competition is out there. So in 2013, we launched a pilot project for the US mailbox. We for that transitional time, we had a year and a half where we had a few persons from St. Kitts and Nevis that we issued the mailbox to them, and they use it to order the stuff. As they order, they will give us recommendation how we could improve the service, what they would like to see, right? So we took all those things, we took it to management, and at that time we tried to improve the service. And in 2015, we did a full launch. We had it was in October. We had persons coming in and signing up for the mailbox, and at that time they could have gotten the mailbox for free, right? So we did that. Now it's $100 to sign up. So, right? You asked how are we being relevant, right? We offer track and trace, an efficient track and trace service that you can go online and track your packages, and as soon as it hit our warehouse, it has I must put it, every point where your packages land, the information uploaded to the system. So if it's at our warehouse, it says it's at our warehouse. It gives you the option to ship. It gives you the option to hold your packages. One of the things that persons said that they would like to have also, some of these courier service don't have, is that they're not able to consolidate the items at a more cheap and reasonable rate.
Okay.
So we spoke to our agent in Miami. We worked out and negotiate a good price that our customers that will feel comfortable paying for consolidated items. So instead of paying for each item that you ship, we have a consolidated price.
Sure. Okay.
So we have that.
Okay.
Right?
One competitive edge.
And
A competitive edge. Okay. Which is needed.
Yes.
our turnaround time, and we could attest to that, our turnaround time is much faster than some of the other courier service. Some of them takes 2, 3, 4 days to get your stuff ready for you to collect. Our turnaround time is much faster than that. Sometimes they come in today, sometime by tomorrow they're ready, right?
Okay.
So we do have a turnaround time. We have persons at the airport working from 8 to 4, making sure that all the packages are ready to come down and ready to clear the very next day.
Mrs. Liebert, you seem very eager to jump in. Go right ahead.
Well, not quite, but I think you asked about how we stay in the competition. And you mentioned earlier about electronics and IT and modern days. One of the things I can say, when you come to the post office, you're not going to speak into an automated machine. You're going to be speaking to warm and friendly clerks at the post office. And despite any discrepancies that might take place, we are always willing and able to help each individual. So we are prepared. One of the things we are doing too, we are now trained for the ASICODA system.
Yes.
So as the packages comes in, we have no need to wait on customs anymore. So things will be smooth running from here on.
So people need to know how to use that system.
They
The
just-
ASICODA system. Have you had any sort of a training for your staff and people who are out in the public as well? I suppose that they can go onto that system, and it would be easier for them to clear their packages at the customs and so on.
Well, we have been training for the past 4 weeks with the system. However, I am not sure with regards to the customers. What I know is for them, they have to upload their invoices.
Yes.
So as long as the invoices are uploaded, the item will not be held in customs. So I think that is where it comes in.
Okay.
And that puts us on par with KDP,
Right.
that training. And should take effect for the high season we anticipate in December.
Okay, good. Of course, we live in a competitive world. And in order to be competitive, we have to market what we have. How are we marketing what we have at the post office? What marketing strategies is the post office employing to get people to be aware of these wonderful services that you say that you have?
Well, at this moment, unfortunately, we are not on par as I would like with the technology in terms of marketing. For now, they're using at this time the more traditional means of marketing, where this program would be a launch pad.
Sure.
And I hope by the beginning of November we can launch our new Facebook page. There was one before, but it wasn't constantly kept up to date. And even I'm now adding Instagram, because
Right.
Instagram is more popular than Facebook.
Yes.
So we are going
So-
to begin there and get our strategy going, because there's many things we would like to take place. But for now, we are going to begin there because
Yes.
it reaches billions in seconds.
So you're changing with the times.
Yes, yes. So we are hoping to use the activities of the entire month of October as the launch pad to increase our visibility in the social media world.
Yes,
And once we know we do that, the visibility would have increased.
certainly.
Try
Now
for-
our Postmaster General has joined us, Mr. Dario Gill. Welcome, Mr. Gill.
Good afternoon.
Now, Mr. Gill, we're engaged in a discussion about the relevancy of the post office, especially today in a digital age, and how the post office is called upon to be innovative, as you see, and to integrate and to be inclusive, and so on. But I want to throw something out to you, Mr. Gill. Mail today is not a communications medium. It is a broadcast medium for business. I cannot tell the last time I have received a postcard, a letter from a friend in New Zealand or in the Dominican Republic. When I get home, what I receive are bills, statements from the bank. Would you agree with my thesis, sir?
Well, Mr. Williams, it's no secret that the post offices globally, okay, with the advent of the internet, email, it has significantly decreased persons communicating via letter posts. That being said, and the UPU, Universal Postal Union, they are aware of that in terms of the amount of mails transmitted globally, and that is why we are trying to innovate. Okay, was mentioned before about the GPO pack, US
Yes.
mailbox service. There are other services as well that the post office have. The express mail service that's been around for some time now. It's cheaper than FedEx or DHL, what have you, right? We're also looking at, in the short to medium term, introducing some new services to the post office in the next coming year. You have the transfers, electronic transfers, like would you have when persons send money abroad or receive money,
Yes.
MoneyGram, Western Union. We're also looking at that as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, the permanent secretary spoke about one of the benefits of the traditional mail is that, of course, you have to have a physical address. That is one of the benefits she spoke of. But my question to her is this. It is one of the benefits, but at the very same time, it is one of the challenges being faced by the post office. Because people today, because they are no longer using the traditional mail as they used to, they may no longer see somehow the importance of a physical address. And so therefore what happens is that they may move from place to place and they will not inform the post office that they would have moved. So I can imagine that people could be sending mails and they're sending mails to wrong addresses. Do you have that problem at the post office?
Yes, it's quite challenging. They report a high number of returned mails. And in particular, as you have had that fast-paced urban migration, that is a challenge because postmen, a lot of pressure, you see them walking around. Some people think that, oh, they're just delivering that. The only challenge they have is the hot sun or a change in the weather.
Yes.
But it is not that. Very often they cannot find the persons, and we are having a high return on mails coming back to the post office. And we recognize one of the things we are discussing is cluster mailboxes. For example, you have some housing projects you can identify, and that in 2019 we've been looking to how we can. They might, and let me emphasize, they may not be implemented in 2019, but we have to do the research and see what is the best way in which we can lay out the introduction of cluster boxes, so it will become easier.
What are cluster boxes for the general public?
Let me give an easy term of reference. We now have the townhouses in different areas.
Yes.
Okay, and they're advancing north of the island. So let's take, I think one of the more recent ones is in Pine Gardens. So you can do a little cluster box there, just like you see downtown with the mailbox.
Yes.
But each person who lives in that area would have the box. So the postman would just go and put things in the boxes, and they collect their mail
Okay.
from the mailbox. You don't have to no longer, traditionally everybody heads to the post office,
Yes.
and you pay for your mail, your box on an annual basis. Now, of course, it will incur a fee, but nothing too exorbitant.
Right.
Nothing too exorbitant. But that's one way in which we can address it. The other important point that I have to emphasize is that if in a country you do not have the addresses of your people, you don't know where they are, they can be missing out on important social services.
Yes.
Okay? And in the event that we have a disaster, natural disaster, and we are faced with hurricanes, but
Certainly.
should there be anything more serious than a hurricane, the post office is a resource for locating everybody.
Yes.
Everybody has a physical address.
Right.
In one of those countries that had the tsunamis, it was a post office they had to rely on after everything passed to ascertain who was alive and who was dead. But this is not a problem only for St. Kitts. In the Caribbean, where we don't have a proper national addressing system. And in the next year, 2019, we hope to look at it more seriously. And urban development is a natural complement
Yes.
for them to help the post office collaborate and look at that national addressing system, because we need it. We really need
Yes. But urban development really talks about urban. Urban is the city, which is vast here. What about the rural development?
We have to look. They look at the spread, of course.
Okay.
But you cannot look at the spread without looking at where it's the originated point.
Yes.
So of course, it's under the umbrella.
Okay. Now, a year ago you were here, Mr. Gill, and I really want to know how we have progressed. You spoke about you and Mr. Watley. You were here on this program. You spoke about a postal code, a national postal code system. Where are we in terms of that? How effective has it been? What are some of the challenges you have faced with this postal code system?
Yes. So the postal code for St. Kitts and Nevis, that was launched 2 years ago. It was launched 2 years ago. For now, it hasn't gone as well as we would like in terms of persons using the postal code system. It is something that we would probably have to relaunch in terms and do some sort of marketing, sensitization, really, because it depends heavily on the public to use it. So, for example, and businesses, for example, if someone is overseas and they're sending a letter to someone in St. Kitts or in Nevis, and that person lives in Basti or Charlestown or Sandy Point or Gingerland, then for them to know the specific postal code for that area and put it at the end of the address. It is registered, okay, so it's already registered, but it's a matter of person signing on and using it so that it becomes a part of us. So just like how you filling out your address on an envelope and Basti St. Kitts, and then at the bottom you would put the postal code to complete.
Okay, so the postal code is another way of finding people.
Correct.
Regions.
Yes, in regions, in districts,
Yes.
in certain
Postal-
areas,
yes.
and
Postal
so on.
districts,
So it
yes.
makes it easier for the person delivering the mail
Correct.
to find where the person is
Correct.
actually located.
Correct.
Okay.
But based on what I would like to add, because having looked at the postal code, we would have to do it in tandem with the national addressing system.
Yes.
It has to be revisited.
Okay.
So now I would say there's a framework, but it has to be revisited so that everything can complement each other.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Now, of course, the efficiency in terms of people getting their mail. What is really in place at the post office? Because there have been times when a mail would come in. Let's say it comes in today, and I don't get it till long after. What is the hold up down at the post office?
What's long after?
Yes.
It's time frame.
You want a time frame? Maybe a week and a half later, maybe a week.
Well, one or two things might happen. You might have loose dogs in your yard. The postman can deliver the mail. Then you might have
Okay.
all your windows and your doors battened down. The postman can deliver the mail. Your gate have on a big padlock. The postman can deliver the mail. And then when your loved ones call you and tell you they send a check for you, then you find yourself to the post office looking for that mail. So you have to really be sensitive with regards to the postman and the delivery of your mail.
Yeah, and people don't have mailboxes like some places in the developed world. You would have a mailbox. So you on the outside. So you the postman does, or the post lady does not have to go in to the yard or something like that. They will put it inside the mailbox.
Well, I
For
know.
But we don't-
Yes, but I know over the
Yes.
years,
Not all the
over the
posts.
years
Yeah.
they had a promotion at
Yes.
one time with those same mailboxes, and a few persons got, and we have been advocating that persons get them, and utility sells them, but like you said, I guess people, from my experience, unless it's a check or a package, people don't really harass themselves until it comes down to the nitty-gritty.
So that means we have to strengthen our advocacy.
We have to strengthen our advocacy. But it's right. I mean, sometimes people have their place all whatever, and the
Yes.
post, the post person cannot get access. In terms of your courier service, though, what is lacking in terms of it? Do you have enough vehicles? Do you have to take your things out and so on? You see the FedEx van going up and down and so on. Now that requires other things. like vehicles, a fleet of vehicles for delivery and all of that sort of a thing. Now your postmen and women and so on, sometimes I see them on foot and all that sort of a thing. You know, could they be provided with little motorbikes and or little whatever? When I was growing up, there was a postman who I still remember to this day. And to me, he was the best postman. At one time, I really wanted to be a postman because of him. But his name was Mr. Saunders. And he operated from, he lived in Keyon, but he drove a motorbike. And he came around and so on. You know?
The postman had bikes at one
Yes.
point in time, you know. All
At
of
one
them.
point in time, we had a project where we offered the postman the option of getting bikes. The government offered incentives. The percentage was paid.
Yes.
So they had that a project like that, and that was with the government and the UPU, and also the same thing that Ms. Samuel mentioned. We had a project where we offered at a cheap rate mailboxes. That's the next project we're hoping to do sometime in the near future. One of the things that UPU try to focus on, as you asked earlier, efficiency. How do we get our mails to our customers as short of a time as possible, right? So we had several meetings a few months ago trying to come up with some type of projects, several projects that we could try to increase the efficiency. Samuel touched on the fact that we have persons who have it's very difficult to get mails in. We have situations where persons come to the post office and they only come, as you said, when they have something. They moved from out of Cairn 4 years ago and they only coming down there because they're expecting a check for national insurance and stuff like that. Just before I came here, I had a young lady who called me and she said, "Oh, I'm trying to get a mail. I'm trying to open an account at the bank," and they asked me for
Yes. A physical address.
I said, so where do you live? She said, "I live in Shadwell." I said, "How long you been living in Shadwell?" She said, 5 years. I said, 5 years and you never received? She said, "Only bills just come, so I never had no use to come for them. But now the bank need." Right? So she never, when she left the country, she never tell the postman, "Oh, I'm leaving the countryside to go to Shadwell." So, you know.
Right.
So people don't realize the importance of their mails until something come up. So yes, we have persons who you need a physical address to open an account. When you're sending certain documents,
Yes.
that's the need. They find the need for the post office. When they need to send off a money order, original documents, when they need the bills. And one of the things we're trying to focus in now too is that persons use the post office for direct marketing. Companies want to market to a person with physical address. Right? So we have persons who send flyers and stuff like that to the boxes, and that's one of our business we offer. Persons can come in, put in flyers in the boxes, and you will go into the box and see. You might call it, some people might call it junk mail, but some people might find it important for it. Right?
Right.
Can you give the example of the recall that was successful? That was done. What was the name of the car company that did it?
Honda.
Honda had
Honda.
a very good experience in
Honda.
the post office.
There was a situation where Honda, there was a defect in their vehicles, and they had to get the notices out to their car owners, persons who owned Honda, and they used the post office to that, and that was
Yes.
something that was implemented between the agent here and the manufacturer in Japan. So they use, Honda is one of our examples, and we have, for example, Hosford will send out their flyers with the sales, you know. And you know, you might not shop, so some people shop will find a need for, "Oh, you know, they have chicken on sale this week, so let
Right.
me take this and take it to," you know, some banks use it to offer when they have special loans and stuff like that. Right? Because not everybody will get the information on their phone. So they need the
That is correct. So used for business, as I
yes.
said.
So businesses need that.
So that
They
it
need-
reinforces that the post office will always be
Really
relevant.
The post office will
Everything.
always be
Always,
relevant. And the
always,
question
always.
that I asked in the beginning
Yes.
is not to pit one against the other.
But to
It's not to
challenge
pit
us.
against to pit the post office against the technology.
Yes.
Because really and truly they should complement each other.
Complement each other, yes.
At this moment, for this last cycle, UPU have working cycle, right? For this last 2 cycles, we've been working on innovation. Well, this last leg, we have the diversification and using of digital applications. They had a workshop a few weeks ago. I think it was
In
2 days
Barbados.
in Barbados. I think it was 2 days we had
Yes.
a WebEx with some persons of UPU, and they mentioned trying to work with government to incorporate the digital age into the post office. For example, even applications where you could take up your phone and check your packages right away.
Right.
We also had a meeting with our IT department. We had a website, but we want to make our website a little more interactive, right? And also be able, so you could, with the website, we have an app that you can go on, get useful information, services we offered, also track your registered mail.
Yes.
Track your goods that you order from your Amazon and your eBay and stuff like that. So we're trying to, next year we have a full plate. We're trying to make sure we really push IT technology in our services. Right, so we have those 2 things: the launch of the website, our Facebook page, the Instagram application. We'll be working with UPU, CPU, that's the Caribbean Postal Union, to get certain applications off the ground that we could use to make it more seamlessly for our customers to do business with the post.
Yes.
Mr. Vera is very excited about technology, and so
Yes.
am I. So we have been having, these discussions
Meetings and
to
discussions, yes.
take it forward. So we want the public to know that we will be taking the technology on board to transform the post office. That is our trajectory.
You have no
at this
choice,
time.
do you?
We have no choice. But I want them to know that we have embraced it. We have embraced the whole idea, and also it has implications for how we staff do. Because soon in the post office, I would have to lobby for a technological advisor or implementer, something, because even though we have the ICT, which is good, they cannot service everybody at the same pace.
Right.
You would need to have someone directly in the post office so that they can liaise with them. And I know that IT wants the technology to be used appropriately and in a relevant way that would help to drive the socioeconomic development of our country. So I want to give 2 things that we are visioning. We are envisioning an interactive digital one-stop shop at the post office. So 2019 is going to be a year for a lot of research and preparation for that. Let me emphasize, you would not see it in 2019 because we have to prepare for it.
Certainly.
We have to prepare for it. We have to do the research. But we envision an interactive digital one-stop shop, so you can get little souvenirs, you can get your envelopes, you can get gift boxes, and the post office is right there for you to mail it. Or we want to stimulate that hobby of collection of stamps also at the same time.
Yes. When I was growing up, I used to collect stamps. In fact, I had quite a collection. It's a pity I don't even know where it is now. But, you would have a book and you will stick the stamps in. And it was also an educational exercise.
Yes.
Because the stamps themselves told a story.
Yes.
Or they gave information. Today, because of less use in terms of sending out the traditional letter. That hobby, I think, is dying.
Not totally invisible, almost invisible.
It is dying. And how does that really affect the Philatelic Bureau?
Most of the interest is from tourists who are interested. We rarely see local people.
We hardly have any local persons
persons.
who collect stamps. We have persons who come off the ship and they're interested in collecting stamps, getting the stamps while they're here on the island and stuff like that. We have a number of accounts that persons, when we have stamps that are released, we send them. We have customers from, I'm going to give you an example, we have customers from China and Japan. It seems like they're more traditional.
Yes.
So we have
Germany.
persons and Germany and we have persons who write to be part or to open accounts. We don't have, I never get a letter from a Caribbean person.
No, and standing orders.
And yeah, we have persons who send standing orders, but it don't seem like it's something that we have gravitated towards in the Caribbean, collecting stamps. But some of these larger countries, they do collect stamps, right? We have seen a decrease in persons, but we do have our persons who still collect stamps.
Right.
We want to
In the
rekindle that
US,
love.
Yes.
One of the main, we've seen a decrease in our US customers. We have customers, we've seen a decrease in our US customers who used to collect stamps. And more of the persons who collect stamps and the age range is persons in their, I don't want to say, let me say 50s, 60s, those are the age range of persons who collect stamps. We really have any young persons in their 20s, and we do have persons a little, maybe a 13-year-old who have a little peak in that, a curiosity in that, and they will have the need to send a letter to us, asking us to send us a few samples of stamps and stuff like that. But it's more focused on persons around 50 and 50 up. I'm going to just say that.
When you say one, you have to say two, because we're speaking about an e-world. We're speaking about e-business. We're speaking about e-commerce. And on the other hand, we're talking about, we're speaking about saving the planet, and in terms of trees and all of that sort of a thing. Going green and all of that. Now, the post office would use quite a lot of paper and all of that if we had to be sending out the letters and all of the traditional way and so on. So, electronically, you don't have to be using paper. You're saving trees. You're saving the environment, because, of course, trees are important for the environment. Of course, trees give off oxygen.
Yes.
So the more trees we have, the more oxygen that we have. They're the opposite to human beings. We take in oxygen and let out carbon dioxide, and the trees are the complete opposite. And so,
yes. Well, 4 years ago, I went to a workshop that CPU was embracing the whole idea of green, even though it would affect our business.
going green, yes.
Going green. But one of the presenters made a very valid point. As we go green and we use more, less paper, we fail to miss one point. Emissions. They have to have servers. These servers.
And the
Emission, yes. These big
Radiation.
servers, yes. So even though we are going green and we maybe with a little less more paper, we think about the fact that these big servers, a big server that will take up pollute 50% of the oxygen in a 3 mile radius. And we're talking a little server that you're we're talking these large servers that Amazon use, eBay use, and these large companies. So even though we are going green, we have to look at these servers we have built in, that the emissions, right? So he mentioned that and he always stick with me.
But you
Right.
now have the cloud.
And even in the cloud, even still in
Even
the
the
cloud, this
cloud.
cloud have to go to a server.
That
And
is
that
true. You
server-
now have
and
the
that server-
cloud.
And that
That is
server,
true, the
and that
server,
server,
yes.
and that server
The
emits,
cloud server.
right? And it emits gases. It, you know, so we're going
Balance.
green, but
It's
the
all
same.
about
It's a balance. It's a balance.
It's all about balance.
balance. Somebody put
Yeah.
yes. It's about balance.
But the truth of the matter is, when you receive a Christmas card in the mail, you really feel good, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
You feel a lot better than when you receive something
Yeah,
electronically.
yeah. You feel good
and
until
maybe
you-
that is because, you know, it's not so often that would happen now. And also the whole thing about somebody writing something, it's
Personal.
much more personal.
And considerate.
And considerate. Nowadays, you have people sending you things. If you ask somebody to write something for your report, for example, they're just going to whatever, send something, they're not going to sign it.
And those things are very important in conducting business.
Mm-hmm.
In conducting business. But I want to point to the card. One of the things we also recognize is that we could send nice postcards, because you can't get nice creative postcards. Some shops are selling.
Yes.
The Methodist Church, you know, that little
Yes.
store on 4th Street,
Mhm.
they do the cards now, and but we want to see a variety. And
Yes.
that we should be able to offer those in our one-stop shop.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Nice cards, thank you cards, different type of cards that
Mhm.
address almost every event in your life.
Okay.
Okay.
The one-stop shop,
Yes.
and that's an online thing.
So, and that would encourage people to use the post.
Mm-hmm.
That would also encourage people to use the post and the stamps. And we can also have the purchase of stamps,
Mm-hmm.
e-stamps. We can come up with that. You don't have to print them. You can collect them using some sort of platform, digital, some sort of digital platform
Yeah,
for the stamps.
Yes. I'm going to come to you, Miss Samuel. I realize that you're eager to speak.
Oh no, not really.
Okay, since we're on the topic of e-stamps, I just want to mention about upgrading of services. We have our postage by phone that we offer to our larger corporate partners like central banks. You know, postage by phone is more like a frank mail system. You know, you get a mail and it has a digital print. That is our postage by phone frank mail.
Yes.
Right. So that's how we upgrade of our one of our service. One of the things we want to also upgrade is you have your mailbox, right? And somebody would like to know. We tested a few years ago, but we found it was a little costly. The platform was a bit costly. Where you have your mailbox, your mailbox system. I said, I wonder if there's anything in my mailbox. We had a period where we were, you could sign up and you could check on your phone to see how much pieces of mails you have, what type of mails you have in your mailbox. So that's one of the things we want to do, upgrade our service. You know, because instead of you driving from ZIZ to go down and check and then you go down there's nothing. One of the things we want to do is upgrade that type of service where we offer that service where you can check your mail, check your phone and see what type of mails you have in your
Sure.
mailbox. So we tried it a few years ago, like 6 years ago. The technology was a little bit expensive. I did a little research a few months ago and I find the cost have gone down. You know, people in technology increase and people have to, you know, make it more cost effective and more competitive, right? So
Okay. Miss Samuel, now you deal with the EMS, you deal with parcel post and GPO pack. These are some of the ways, of course, when you speak about innovation at the post office, how the post office is trying to be more innovative. Can you speak in terms of through these services, the EMS, the parcel post, and the GPO pack, that you have seen the relevance of the post office, or more relevance for the post office in today's modern society?
Well, basically, especially with the parcel post section, it's actually basically a cheaper way of receiving stuff, and most persons comes to clear their stuff. That's basically the only means of getting their package from the loved one overseas. And for the time I'm over there is basically the elderlies, retired persons. They are the ones who basically benefit from our parcel post service. The letter post section is a part of the parcel post, and that deals with documents, and a lot of documents, not passports though, we receive at that section. And some up to last week I was saying, you know, I look back behind me and I said, wow, that's a whole bunch of them. You know, I thought everybody was talking about technology, but despite technology might be there are some things you just have to get physical.
You
They
are
cannot
correct.
print it because they don't want it. They need it. They need a hard copy.
In the original
They
form.
need the original
Yeah.
form, and that's one of the way it is sent. And it's take about 2 weeks, but it is reliable and it is sure.
Like a baby,
cheaper.
you can't have a baby, you know, solely by technology. There has to be some physical, something physical involved.
I like that.
Okay.
What is interesting about one of the interesting things that stood out to me is the elderly, which also goes to inclusiveness. So the post office has to be
Yes.
inclusive of all. So as I say, balance, because we use the technology, but remember, it's not every older person or everybody would
That's
be
a good
inclined to
point.
use the technology. Okay, even though we have very high internet penetration rates, it does not mean everybody would do business using technology.
And that's a very good point that you would have made. Now, do you send money through the mail, or is it encouraged,
No, it's
and
not.
why?
That has been the policy for the post office, all post offices globally, that money is not transmitted through the mail.
Okay.
If persons need to send funds through the mail, they have the option of getting a manager's check, bank draft, and that is safe. Money order. Okay.
The reason I
is-
raised it, Mr. Gill, is because people might not know and would put money in an envelope to send to someone else. Now, there are certain risks, of course, involved in doing that, and we know what those risks are. You were
Yes.
saying.
Of course, there is a risk involved. Whereas, if there is any tampering of the mail and that money is taken, there's no way to trace it. As opposed to if you have a money order, bank draft, person on the receiving end doesn't get in a certain amount of time, you can always put a stop on that check. Okay.
Now, in terms of confidentiality matters at the post office, because that is also important, mail and all of that sort of a thing are personal in nature. What is done to ensure among your staff that they remain confidential in terms of people's personal business? You know what I'm talking about. Why do you look so askance?
Well,
Not that description.
Well, as an employee, what I can say, when I started to work at the post office first, I was given a list of the do's and the don'ts.
Okay, let us hear what some of them are.
And one of the
on the contract.
I didn't sign any contract, but you are not allowed to discuss people's mail with anyone. Whether it is even if you see something for your mother, you're not allowed to go home and say, well, your check come yesterday. You're not, it's a no-no. But I must say, we are dealing with people and it is not always like that. One of the things I'm trying to enforce now at the department where I am is people like to call and say, good day, I'm checking on my mail for Hakeem O'Loughlin. You're Hakeem O'Loughlin? No. And one of the things I don't like to do is give information with regard to mail over the phone, because you can say you're Hakeem O'Loughlin and you are not. Whether the box is there for him, I don't think it's our business. He's supposed to come and ask himself. And I'm really trying to get away from doing a lot of that over the phone. Even with our US mailbox service, yes, I know persons would like to know if the package reached down yet and how much customs charge so that they can get the cash and come. But I find sometimes you might give, somebody would call about somebody else a package and you would take it for granted and you're selling, this is the cost and whatever. And then 2 minutes later, the actual person is calling and you say, somebody just call. Oh, we make, and it's very, it's very disturbing. So I am trying to, well, I guess with the Asikura system in place, we would be able now to send out emails to each box holder, so then we won't have any need for that.
Right. Sometimes I have received mail, and I know people receive mail, and the mail is taped up, and then it is stamped and saying received in damaged condition. And sometimes I really wonder if they open it and then put that on it.
No. As long as it is stamped and saying it was received in damaged condition.
It's received in a damaged condition.
I know people often
And that
wonder
is,
that.
yeah, but that is something important to clear up.
Yes, to
clarify, because people may think that there is some tampering
Yes.
that is taking place.
I must say, among the sorters, it's not very easy to tamper with mails like people think you're in the post office taking out stuff. It's not so easy.
Right.
So.
It's not easy at all.
No.
Okay, good. Now, the other issue, of course, before we go to the phone lines, is that of with technology and with the internet and so on, you hear a lot of things about viruses and cyber attacks and cyber terrorism. But of course, with the traditional mail as well, we've heard about people putting certain chemical, biological things in mail and so on, and sending it to people. So we also face ricin. We can talk about that. As soon as you open it and so on, it just affects your whole nervous system and all of that sort of a thing. Have you had any training in that? Because if you're watching the news, you hear all the time, oh, some mail came to the White House.
So
And the suspicious. Have you had any training in terms of detecting suspicious mail?
Well, I'm gonna mention 2 things. The UPU is working with border control in every country. The UPU works closely with customs, TSA, all those agents. Mails going out to the country must be scanned.
Okay.
From since they had the 9/11 attack, all mails going out must be scanned. So before time we used to send the mails on the jet. The mails have to go to the airport and they have to go through the scanner. And mails coming out of any country have to be done. One of the things, the scanners have to be a certain model, and it must be most up-to-date model. So I remember a few years ago when they implemented that, and we were supposed to get, the country already had their scanner, and shortly after they had to get a new one. So we can rest assured, any mails leaving any port is do diligent checks. It's scanned. Any suspicious thing is taken out immediately. unless they have the most up-to-date scanners, they are not permitted to send anything out of their country, right? Unless it's going through a port that they have a partnership with to scan their stuff, right? So that will eliminate certain threats out there. That happened, as I said, after 9/11. So, as we haven't had any training, our countries and post offices, customs, ports, and stuff like that they did some training. The port did training and stuff like that, and our border patrol is up to date when it comes to the latest scanning devices.
So we have those. We are
We
compliant.
have
in
we are
terms of the
compliant when it
equipment.
comes to those equipments, right?
So you are compliant in terms of the international standards.
And
In terms of the equipment,
In terms
I
of
wanted to
equipment.
emphasize
And,
that.
yes,
I
equipment.
think we have to improve though on meeting some of the international standards.
the last
What are some of the things that we have to improve on, PS?
For example, I could give a quick one: vehicles. The vehicles are outfitted in a particular way. We have just recently outfitted one. The driver does not interact with the meal, or ought not to be interacting with the meal. There is a grill that we have just put in. The driver should be separate, and the boss should have 2 locks on it, one for the post office and one for customs.
Okay.
So we have to. They are little things, but they can help us to stay accountable, so that we don't have any unfortunate incidents of robbery, etc., etc. Those are security measures.
Okay.
But there are some we have to look at them, and we have to make sure we remain compliant, so that things of this nature can
Certainly.
can be avoided.
Okay.
along with the outfitting of the vehicle, we also have customs who what do you call it again? When the beginning is escort. We have escort
Escort.
from the airport to the GPO. So there's no diverting anything like that from the airport. A route straight to the post office with
Okay.
escort.
No derails.
No deal.
No,
Same thing is going to Nevis, escort, but to the pier.
Right. So what is there gets there.
Yes, there.
security is important.
Security is very
Security is
important.
very important. And
Okay.
one of the things we have done recently was meet with the customs and the commissioner of police to make sure. The next step now, we would have to now iron out and get a booklet produced of
Yes.
our operations.
Okay.
But they have certainly alerted us, and they're very important stakeholders who keep us abreast of what is to be done.
Okay.
So,
For the balance of the time that we have left on the program, let us go to our phone lines and hear what some of the people
I have to say,
have to say. So our numbers to call, the international number is 1718-577-2916. That is 1718-577-2916. And the local number is 465-2555. That's 465-2555. We welcome your calls. There is no one on the line at the moment. I hope this is not an indication of, because people are using the post office less and less, that there's no need to call.
well, they would have gotten some very good information, but I want
They
to
would have
draw
gotten
you
some
to,
very good.
I want to draw you to something you said that I think I must address. You use the word insolvency, quite a strong word.
Yes.
But I would just want to reiterate that the post office generates quite a bit of income for our economy. Because if you look at just in the legal professional law, everything is about stamps, the passports, police records, birth and death
Yes.
certificates. So I wanted to look at that, and I also wanted to do a bit of a focus on e-financial services.
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to use Kenya as an example.
Yes.
because sometimes the distance, geographical distance.
There is a call, P.S. Working for you, good afternoon.
Take that call.
Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you. You go right ahead. We are listening.
Because in June I wanted to send a special delivery to London to the pension people, and to send it how to call it, especially because the lady charged me, I think it was $6 and give me a receipt and thing. I thought, well, and up to now I haven't heard from the pension people that they received this letter. I sent it register mail. Because I was surprised, and when I asked the young lady at the post office, how long will they say? She told me about 3 or 4 weeks. I said, pardon? She said 3 or 4 weeks before this letter should reach. Is that possible?
Okay. Is that your question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. I'll get one of the panelists to answer your question. Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think the information needed would be where is the destination?
Where is the destination?
It went to England to because I was querying about my pension to come to the bank here in St. Kitts.
Oh,
and
I
it
see.
haven't been received. I've been going through and through with these people. Up to now, we don't know where the money is going.
Mm-hmm.
It's 7 to 14 business days for a mail to Great Britain, right? When you're sending for example, a mail to a residential.
It was a register mail because it cost me plenty money.
Yeah.
When I asked her how long it's going to take.
So you send it to the company, right? The registered mail is either two things. They will have to go, somebody from that company will have to go, they will get a slip, they will have to go to the post office and collect the item, right? So probably need to call them and see if they receive a notice to collect, right?
Because you see, I'm at fault now because I did the receipt. I should have kept the receipt. I kept the receipt for over a month, and I don't know what I did with it. Because it was a blue receipt I received from the post office there. The girl wrote out, and she gave it to me.
Okay.
You can just come back to the post office. Was it in the Bastille branch?
Yes.
Okay, you can just come back to the branch in the town.
And she'll be able to trace that in
to,
June
yes,
when
yes,
that
yes.
register mail.
And we'll do an inquiry for you.
Okay then. Thanks ever so much for your
You're
help.
most welcome. Enjoy the rest of your day.
I surely will do that.
You're very welcome.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you for your call.
Right. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Now,
was finishing
yes,
a point.
you were.
Yes, with East Financial Services. And sometimes, I was going to give Kenya as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the great distances.
Yes.
They did a lot of mobile banking on telephones.
Mm-hmm.
And the post office could look at that. Because, well, like Kenya is very large, but
Yes.
I'm talking about fitting it into our space.
Yes.
And there are some persons who are not bankable. The unbankable persons or targeting persons like the elderly
Yes.
who may have got the little post offices to conduct financial business for them.
Mhm.
And that may be an avenue for us to look at.
Certainly. Now, let me throw a question out there. Imagine you are a letter traveling through time. What message do you wish to convey to your readers? Maybe that's a question for the public to answer. Imagine you are a letter traveling through time. What message do you wish to convey to your readers? Because we're getting less and less letters by the post. What are some of the advantages, you would say, of receiving a letter? Not an email, a letter. Working for you, good afternoon.
Hello,
Hello.
is that working for you?
Yes, it is.
A lady just called about a pension, a letter.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, but I have some numbers here. If I don't know if she. But you didn't ask her if she called the pension place.
No. Okay.
Look, I have some numbers here.
Sure.
Would you like to write them down?
Yes, sure.
The phone number is 0191 218 with 4 sevens. 8 with 4 sevens at the end.
Okay.
And then I have a fax number here, 0191 2183 201. And there's another number here, or text phone, 0191 2187 280. And then there's an international code. I guess you'll need that. 44191. The lady could get in touch with you. I don't know if these numbers would help.
I
Okay.
hope she's listening.
Okay. I hope she's listening.
Yes.
One of them, these numbers might help.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for offering your assistance. So we are speaking about the letter, the traditional letter. Imagine you are a letter traveling through time. What message do you wish to convey to your readers?
I am in touch.
Keep in touch.
I want
To
you
keep in touch.
Don't forget to write.
Don't forget to write back.
You want that acknowledgement that your information was received and there is that mutual, interest.
Looking forward to hear from you.
Because let's face it, we have come a very long way.
From the runners.
We have come a long way.
Remember when they introduced the telephone, they said, as I mentioned before, a couple of years ago, they said that's the end of the post office. We're still here. When they introduced the email, they said that's the end of the post office. We're still here. Now they have applications and all type of things. Increased technology. We are still here. We are here to stay. We are here to stay. We're not going anywhere.
But we are here also to stay abreast and integrate,
Yes, and
innovate, integrate, and remain inclusive.
Yes.
But the natural educator instinct in me leads me to offer intervention as a strategy, a learning strategy. There are many projects. You can get your students to twin with schools in any part of the world to write letters, even though they are aware they can get information from in a different way. This would offer another medium and another lens to the eyes of the children
Yes.
of communicating.
I totally agree.
And I think that forging partnerships with the teachers, I think the post office, we could give them a helping hand, give them a little nudge. That would be very helpful in terms of, what should I say, revitalizing the love of letter writing.
your activities, Wall Post 2018 activities, is there anything that you want to elaborate about these activities? Of course, customer service is extremely important. Staff cohesion is also very important. And to appreciate your customers and all of that. Because, of course, it's business. The post office, it's about business. And how you operate that business, you can get more customers, and so on. So, what do you plan in terms of appreciating your customers? Is there anything else that you would like to say in terms of your activities, in terms of, you know, the leadership of the post office and how you would like to see staff gel together and all of that?
Mr. Vera, you go first with the customer appreciation. Say what we did.
Yesterday we had customer appreciation. We had early bird persons who came into the post office in the morning. We offered them some snacks. We had some pens, some pencils, rulers, water mugs. We had thermal mugs as well. And we also had at that point a little stamp exhibition where persons could have come in and learn a little bit more about stamps from around the world.
And we also had a GPO free sign up and
On the line. Working for you, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Mr. Williams, and your two special guests from the General Post Office.
Good afternoon, sir.
I think this is a very good program, and people need to know. What I need to know this afternoon, Mr. Gill, and I thought by now the government would have seen fit to appoint you. You can't have people acting in that position for more than a year. It is wrong. You ought to have been appointed already because, as Mr. Williams said, it's been a year since you have been there with him, and I joined your program. My question to you, Mr. Gill, what are your rates like? Because, you see, you are competing against KDP, and KDP control the aircraft that bring these goods in. What your rates are like?
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for your question. Our US mailbox service, GPO Pack, the rates are very competitive. There's a one-time sign-up fee of 100 EC dollars, and for the first £3, you pay 22 EC, and each additional pound after that is 6 EC. And then there's also a 5 EC charge for insurance.
And what are the procedure in terms of clearing your package?
In terms of clearing your package, okay. Everything, all mails are screened at RLB Airport, inspected, evaluated by customs. When we receive them, they already are valued, so it's just a matter of the customer coming and paying the post office in conjunction with the customs charges.
That is interesting because you just said the goods are examined at the airport and then they will left the airport and go into bar stays. That's what you're saying?
Once everything is checked, processed by customs and post office staff, we receive them, and then they're already valued when they're received by us.
So you're saying when I come to the post office, all I'll be coming to do is to pay?
Correct, sir.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Now, what is being done in terms of to raise awareness in terms of the business that the post office does? Raising awareness is important.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That, as I said, we now see the need to intensify because it was not very much out there.
Yes.
And that is why we're going to use this month to do so. And we are going to try a new activity called a postcade.
Yes.
It would not happen in October, it would happen early November, where we are going to go through the island with our music and flyers and little surprises
Yes.
and raise awareness at the community level.
And that is when?
That's its scheduled for the 3rd of November.
The 3rd of
Because
November.
everything could not be.
At what time?
It would be on a Saturday starting at about 1 or
At about 1
You have to
o'clock.
finalize the time so the public would know more about it.
And you also have a free mailbox sign up.
Yes,
Could you
Miss
tell us
Samuel.
more about
So
that?
let Miss Samuel tell you more about it.
Free mailbox signing up the 31st of October, General Post Office, Bay Road.
Okay.
What I want to also
And that is just for one day?
Just for the 31st.
Just for the 31st. And
Yes.
how much would it normally be? What would be the cost?
100
normally
EC, that
100 EC.
Yes.
So you can save 100 EC
By signing up
by
on the
on
31st.
that day by signing
Yes.
up
on the 31st.
on the 31st.
Yes. For the rest of the month, we are also challenging ourselves to take on board many of the points that we have raised here.
Yes.
In terms of how we can be innovative and integrated and inclusive and prepare ourselves for it. There will be a training program. IPS.post, we expect a consultant in to do some training at the post office.
Okay.
To make sure that I think we will be becoming internationally compliant on an application system for the post office by doing that exercise. And there would be it's not on the schedule because I was trying to find a place for it in terms of an appropriate date. We want to have a symposium so we can get our stakeholders together and look at how we can form the basis of where we want to go.
Yes.
Help us to chart our direction in terms of the technology and what is the best
Yes.
course of action.
You have a stamp exhibition as well?
Yes, it's going on at this time. We
It's-
expect some schools in to look at it
Okay.
during the course of the week
And how stamps can be used in the classroom.
in the classroom.
Really to teach. I think, that's one way. Good. I think that we are,
Well, of course, and the staff will have some fun.
and they will
Let
have.
us not forget that because they have to now learn to work together in different ways. So we have a hike on Saturday. A hike.
Yes, we have a hike.
And we have like a staff lunch and beach afternoon. So they would have some fun. They work very hard.
Yes, good. Okay, we are out of time, basically, and I would ask us to wrap up. But each of you, I would like to ask you a question. And you don't have to take very long to answer me, but answer me nonetheless. What do you think is the most important role of the post office today in modern society? Beginning with you, Mr. Gill.
Post office plays a very important role. If the persons were to look at the post office in terms of socio-economic, we play a vital link in terms of communication, dissemination of information.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Vera.
The post office play, as the Postmaster General mentioned, a very vital role. We are the link to persons from the outside world to their doorstep. The post office is one of the main means and the more traditional means of communication.
For
Mrs.
me,
Samuel.
it keeps you personally intact with everyone.
I have 3 words: keeping people connected.
Okay, I want to thank all 4 of you for appearing on today's program. Mr. Gill, Mr. Vera, Mrs. Samuel, and Miss Rattan, the permanent secretary. Thank you so much for appearing on today's program and to sharing on something that is still relevant today. It is not
I am happy you
anachronistic.
concluded with that.
The General Post Office. And we certainly looked at some ways in which it is still relevant. And I would leave you with one question. Imagine you are a letter traveling through time. What message do you wish to convey to your readers? This has been another edition of Working for You. We thank all who tuned in to today's program, those of you who called in, those of you who listened. We appreciate you from week to week. Next week we will be back with another Working for You program. I am your host, Les Roy Williams. Until then, take care. Stay up to date with news, programs, and activities of the government with SKNIS. Like us on Facebook. Listen to us on SoundCloud. Follow us on Twitter. And watch our videos on YouTube. Connect with us today. SKNIS, St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service.